Hey friends, Andy here. How you doing? Good to see you. So I get asked a lot, Andy, yes friend, where do you find all these crypto projects you mine or invest or participate in? Well, spoiler alert, there's no real secret sauce. It's just a lot of hard work. I like to think of myself as a discount or cheap venture capitalist. I use a shotgun approach when it comes to crypto projects, meaning I put my hands and fingers and mining rigs in a whole bunch of pies, taste in the filling, and I hope that a few of them will work out. I expect that a lot of them are going to fail, go to zero. Developers are going to run away with the money, do a big rug pull, a scam. But some of them I expect to be big wins. Just a few though. And so far, this strategy has worked out very well for me. And in fact, I utilize this strategy mostly with my mining rigs, either directly mining projects when they launch, or using the money I make from my mining rigs to then use that to invest in these newer projects. When it comes to speculation of coins and stuff, I think having mining rigs is a huge advantage, and I think there is tons of potential here. Even my very small, modest rigs have made me tons of money in the past 4 years. In fact, let me know down in the description if you want to see a video like that and what questions you might have for me or what you'd like to see covered in that video. I would love to hear from you. And while you're down there, would you mind pointing your YouTube mining rig, that's your mouse, at that like button and give it a smash? In exchange, I will fill your head full of good crypto, new coin finding knowledge. Okay, so enough of all that. Let's get down to how I find these projects in the first place. Well, the short answer is I don't find them in one place. I find them all over the internets, which, as you know, is a series of tubes. So let me kind of show you where I've looked in the past, where I currently look, and how I use all these resources to build lists of coins that I want to look into and research. First up is a Bitcoin Talk Announcement Forum. So this is an oldie and it might not be as relevant anymore. However, once upon a time, over the past 4 years, I've used this almost exclusively to find new projects as they are announced. For example, if you watched my Flux video, you will know that this is exactly where I found the Flux launch, started mining at the beginning, and now it's been a big success for me. However, I think that now a lot of Bitcoin talk is kind of scammier coin stuff. I don't know. I haven't really been here in a while because I don't use this as much anymore. However, it might still be worth jumping into and looking around. I highly suggest you use the link I have for it in the description or wherever I'm putting links these days, because I have a special link that sorts the entire forum by most recently posted. Otherwise, you're just gonna see a whole bunch of long threads of projects and stuff from years past, and that is not gonna be super helpful for you. So essentially, I just scroll through this forum for long periods of time, mainly looking for the words mineable, proof of work, those types of things. So I really like mineable proof of work coin launches. Okay, next up is hopping over to CoinMarketCap, which I don't really love CoinMarketCap. I prefer CoinGecko, but the point here is both of these have a place where you can go to their coins, the cryptocurrencies, and view recently added. In fact, here it is with CoinGecko. All you have to do is when you're on the CoinGecko homepage, you go to coins, recently added, so easy. And you will see all of the most recently added coins. And they're infinitely tiny and speculative and maybe scam, maybe awesome project glory. The downside to using this method is that likely, if the coins are on these websites, they are already on an exchange. And one of the big advantages to getting in super early with a project is you might get in before it hits an exchange, before it has a price attached to it, before people have an incentive to mine it or acquire it in some way. But fret not, this is still a great method for scrolling through, clicking on them, jumping into their websites, jumping into their Discords, doing some research and finding some stuff you would ordinarily not find because it's so new. And speaking of Discord servers, this is another great resource. There's so many great crypto mining Discords and just crypto enthusiast Discords and just communities of people who like crypto, mining, all things having to do with digital currencies. In fact, I'm in several different Discords that are mining or at least crypto-centric, like Voscoin. If you haven't checked out his channel, you should. He has a great crypto Discord where people talk all about what's new out there, what they're mining, what they're buying, etc. Cursed Mining, he's another channel, mining-centric channel, but he talks a lot about newer projects and stuff in the Discord. These are just places where you can communicate with other people, chat around and see what they've found, and you can share what you've found. You can toss around ideas and stuff and be exposed to projects that you might not have otherwise. In fact, speaking of, I think crowdsourcing your research is a great way to go about this. And what I mean by that is use other people. Like, you are only one person, and try as you might, you're not going to find all the promising and new projects out there. However, if you multiply yourself by hundreds or thousands, you can find lots and lots of cool potential projects. So how do you do that? Well, you hop on Twitter, you hop on YouTube, you hop on Facebook. Nope, don't get on Facebook. Nobody likes Facebook anymore. Get on Instagram, wherever. Find some of your favorite crypto influencers or crypto personalities or whatever. And don't necessarily listen to what they're saying, because by the time some of the bigger people are talking about it, it might be a little too late to jump in. But pay attention to the comments or the conversations surrounding those people. Like, when I talk about certain crypto projects on my Twitter, for example, I get a bunch of replies in there from people who talk about projects that I've never heard of. Now, a lot of them might be terrible. I don't know. Some of them might be great. I know I have indeed found a few via that method that turned out to be pretty awesome. So basically, you're just going to go and look through all these comments and replies and whatever and catalog some stuff, and then do your own research based on that information. It's a great way to crowdsource your initial research stage. You got people out there doing all this work for you for free, so use it. Come on, get some of that free work. And more specifically, like I was saying, Twitter, for example. Twitter is fantastic because you can explore the trending topics, you can explore hashtags and stuff, but there's also just a really robust crypto community on Twitter. There's so many people talking about crypto on Twitter that you can literally fill entire notebooks full of potential projects just from reading replies and comments and tweets, etc. The next place where I like to source new project info or promising project is from friends and groups. So just in the course of being online and talking about this stuff, I meet people that I like and have similar interests to me. We hop in little DM groups or whatever, and we chat about all things crypto. And naturally, when I find something, a project that I'm excited about, I share it in those groups. And vice versa. When they find something, they're like, ooh, check this out. This just launched. Look at this piece of hardware, whatever. They share it in there too. And I get exposed to a whole bunch of projects I would not have otherwise. So this is a really fun one that I highly recommend because having friends is a great idea. But two, it's something I can do every day that doesn't necessarily feel like work, and it gives me exposure to new stuff that I wouldn't have otherwise. The next one is YouTube. Now this one I give you cautiously because if it's a big channel and they're talking about a coin as a small gem, or whatever, well, there's a good chance that maybe that gym is not so small anymore. There are plenty of exceptions to this. However, if a million plus YouTube channel is telling you to buy this little coin and it's already like a rocket ship up, that might not be the greatest time to get into it. However, if it's a smaller channel and they have some, more obscure picks, or people in the comments are talking about things, this can be a great place to look for new stuff. For me personally, being subscribed to, 100,000 or 50,000 subscriber or less channels, I have had some exposure to projects that I think actually are a bit under the radar. So this one, your mileage may vary, YMMV, but it's still worth a shot to check out. Okay, what is next? So the next one actually might be one of my secret sauce things. It might actually be a secret. I might have lied at the beginning and said there are no secrets, but this one actually might be. And that is looking at small, obscure exchanges. So one of my favorite small, obscure exchanges, which maybe you've never heard of, or if you have heard of it, you probably thought it was like a scam or really shady, and that would be Trade Ogre. Trade Ogre has actually been around for quite a few years now, and I use it all the time. It's a very legitimate operation. As far as I can tell, I have no qualms using Trade Ogre. The benefits of it is, one, no KYC. Don't tell anybody. But two, they do list some kind of smaller, more speculative, interesting projects. So if I see something pop up on there randomly, I'm inclined to go check it out because it might be a cool one to look into a little further, do some research on, see why they added it in the first place. So I'd recommend it looking at some smaller, obscure exchanges. As long as they're legitimate, do your research. That can be a great place to see when new stuff gets added, because that new stuff might be a potential win for you. And then one of the last resources I want to talk about here is a pretty obvious one if you are a crypto miner, and that is whattomine.com. This is probably the go-to website for finding, what's the most profitable cryptocurrency to mine with your rigs right now. However, if you're using it for that purpose and trying to find speculative projects, you're using it incorrectly, because whatever's at the top or in the top few coins is probably going to be something that's more established. It's been around for a little while. Sure, there's still tons of potential with it, like Flux is on here in the top 3. I obviously think Flux has huge potential in the future. So in my case, mining 11.6 Flux today at $19 of revenue might actually be like mining $100 a day, in a few months. But the thing I actually want you to use this for is hop onto Coins, and you can literally scroll through here and check out projects They add new stuff all the time. They also have stuff at the bottom, which are inactive coin calculators. Now, some of these might just be that the project is gone to zero, doesn't exist anymore, but also they have some on here that haven't hit exchanges yet, or the right exchanges don't have the right volume. There's some legitimate projects down here that aren't showing up in the main calculator and are worth taking a peek at. But what to mine is the easy one. There are so many calculators out there for mining. Another one to look at is Crypto Compare and MinerStat, which MinerStat's cool because it actually shows you trending ones, and it also sorts via market cap if you want. Then there's Coin Wars and Wooly Pooly, which is a mining pool, but they also have a pretty cool calculator, and they have some projects on here you might not have heard about. So essentially what I'm saying is go onto Google, type in mining calculator or mining profitability calculator, and see if there's some more obscure ones you haven't heard of that might be pulling some smaller cap coins or some more obscure coins or some coins that aren't on the big exchanges, so they're not showing up on what to mine. You can absolutely find other projects that haven't been on the mainstream radar yet if you just look at some of these more obscure mining calculators. Okay, so that covers some of the places I look, but that does not cover how I actually determine if it's worth looking into beyond the initial glance. So how do I verify if it's actually a good project or potentially a good project? Because you never really know at first. Well, the first question I ask myself is, what does this project do? Does it have an actual use case? Or at the very least, is there something truly unique or interesting about it? Again, like in the case of Flux, for example, they're trying to build the decentralized Amazon Web Services and put a bunch of servers where you can host apps or dApps and websites and other things out in the cloud. That's an actual use case. Or I have other projects that I like Raptorium, RTM, which the use case isn't as clear cut as that, but they're really unique in that they have an algorithm that is very CPU mineable friendly, and they inherently are trying to stop things like ASICs from being on the network. And that to me is something that is interesting or unique. So you just want to look for markers that show that there's something worth looking into with this project. If it's just like everything else and there's truly nothing very special about it, well then it's probably not worth your time. And on that topic, a few ground rules I have for myself, and this does not need to apply to you, this is just how I operate. I do not do ICOs, or initial coin offerings. Never have, never will, don't like them. If you've had success with them, then that's great, but I just personally don't dig them very much. And just like that, the second thing would be I don't do pre-sales. If there's a new project launching and they want to sell me a master node or they want to sell me some coins before they launch, I'm just not into that. I want a fair distribution or a fair launch. And then I also don't like VC-backed coins. I have some exceptions to this in my portfolio, but overall, if there's a bunch of venture capitalist backing of the coin or the project, I don't want any part of it. And the reason I don't like that is because typically these projects will offer those people a much better rate than what the rest of the public is offered. And those VCs are incentivized to sell off all their bags when the general market starts buying it up at higher rates than what they paid. So it's just very unfavorable to you as someone who wants to get involved with the project. It sounds cool on paper, but honestly, it's just a big downer for everybody. And again, like I said, I want a fair distribution coin. So what do I mean when I say I want a fair distribution coin? Well, that means there's no pre-mine. Or if there is, it's smaller and they're clear and transparent about what they're using it for. And a pre-mine is when you have a proof of work, a mineable currency, and the developers pre-mine a big chunk of the supply before it's available to everybody else to mine, putting some money in your back pocket before you offer it for sale for everybody else. I prefer when the developers and everybody running the team, the founders, etc., I prefer when they all have the same chance that we all do as a general public. When they launch the coin, they have to mine it or acquire it the same way we do. This also includes founder rewards. I'm not big on coins that a little portion of each block reward goes to the founders or whatever. There are exceptions to this, again, with all these things, like sometimes a dev reward can be a good thing and incentivizes them to do work on the project, but some of this can be pretty greedy and I'm just not a big fan of it. And then when I'm thinking about where these new coins go or how they're handled, I like to think about the tokenomics of the project. What is the total supply of the coins? Is there a supply cap? Is the supply cap reasonable? Is it crazy? Is it super high? Is it infinite? What is the current circulating supply? Where do all those coins exist? Are they on the wallets of people who've been mining and investing in the project? Are they all in the founder's wallet? Like, where do those coins exist? And what's the inflation rate of the coin? How many coins are made every 1 minute, 10 minutes, 1 hour, whatever, per day? If you're looking at a coin that has an infinite supply cap, meaning there's no limit on how many coins are made, and the inflation rate of it is lots of coins every single day, well then that's just not something that I'm personally terribly interested in, because I like hard supply caps, or at least reasonable supply caps. Because otherwise the value of it just keeps getting inflated and diluted. And again, with the fair distribution and also with the supply and everything, I really like proof of work coins, like I've said a bunch of times already. I think proof of work is the fairest way to distribute coins. I think proof of stake inherently is less fair. Proof of stake rewards those with the biggest supplies of the coins, but there are some proof of stake coins that I do like, so there are, again, exceptions to every one of these rules. But again, another reason I love proof of work is because they're mineable. It gives someone like me with mining rigs a chance to hit up one of these projects as they launch, support the network, and get a share of the coins in the process. It's a really neat idea, and that's one of the reasons I love cryptocurrency at its core. So the next thing I look at is the team. In crypto, it seems to be there's two choices for teams. Either they're public or they're completely anonymous. I have mined and backed and invested in lots of anonymous team coins. However, I tend to side with the ones who are public. I feel like, if you're putting your face and your name and even your LinkedIn profile on the website, then maybe there's less chance of a scam or risk of losing all my money, etc. However, I have backed plenty of anonymous coins that are 100% legit and turn out great, but those are fewer and far between compared to the other ones. And if it is a public team, then just click on those LinkedIn profiles, see what else they've been doing. What is their work history? What is their background? What is their experience? Do they seem like legitimate people who should be working on this? Just treat it like a job interview, like you're looking into a potential employee and would you hire these people yourself? But honestly, a lot of this stuff is more art than science. What you're going to do is you're going to look at all these coins, you're going to make big lists of these coins, you're going to start looking into these coins and researching them, and you make a bunch of mistakes. But you're going to learn, you're going to develop a process for yourself and how you search for them. And that's where the art of this comes in. It's less about the hard fact science stuff. Because reality is with crypto, it is such a wild west, it is hard to actually nail stuff down with hard science. You never quite know what the magic spark is that's going to make a project take off or not. So really, you just need to get lots of experience picking and choosing and trying to find stuff out there. And one of the last things I look for in projects to verify if I think they're worth my time and mining effort or money, whatever, is there some kind of way for me to have skin in the game? Again, whether it's mineable, or maybe they have nodes that I can run and I can help support the network and I can get rewards in the process. Or maybe they have a hardware device, a VPN, a sensor, a hotspot. Is there some way for me to buy into the network and get rewarded for being a part of it? Honestly, these are my favorite types of projects and the ones I recommend the most because I think people who are invested, have skin in the game, have some incentive for sticking around, are really gonna make or break a project. So if you compile all this stuff, you get a big list. How do you prioritize where you actually spend your mining time or your money or your effort looking into it? Well, number one, if it's a new project that is launching soon and it's mineable, well, then that takes my priority. I want to hit a project as soon as it launches, when the difficulty is low and when I can get the maximum amount of coins for the least amount of effort. And it's also just super fun to do. Nothing quite like staying up until 3 a.m. when a coin launches to put your mining machines on it and figure out all the troubleshooting and whatever else there is to do to get it working on your rigs. Or at the very least, if my mining machines, my rigs are mining Ethereum, for example, and I'm getting my normal monthly payout, well, I can use that money that I'm mining with them to then invest in these newer projects. It's a great way to go about it. But for me, when I actually put money into it, I just kind of wait until I have that gut feeling, which is really hard to describe, and I'm sorry, it's kind of nebulous and vague, but as you get more experience doing all this, sometimes you just see projects that just have that little spark or potential. And when I feel that, because based on my experience and research or whatever, those are the ones I go a little more full throttle on. And they don't always work out, but sometimes they do. But really, when it comes to prioritization, I just go for whichever ones I think at the moment have the greatest upside or the greatest opportunity or potential. There's no wrong answer here because you can always loop back to a different one after you've hit up mining on one or investing in the other or spending time with one. It doesn't really matter too much. So on the topic of all these wins and fails, let me talk about some of my biggest wins and fails. Obviously, if you've watched my videos lately, you know that Flux is a huge win for me. If you watched my passive income one, you know that Raptorium or RTM is a big win. I've also had wins with Pirate Chain and Cadena and Ravencoin. I've also had some that I'm kind of lukewarm about. I don't actually know if they're fails or they're wins yet. TBD. To be determined, but one of those is Grin, which I was super hyped on when it launched. It's all about mining that, and it has just steadily disappointed me over time, but I'm still optimistic about the future on that one. Another one is Veil and BitTube and Scala. These are all ones I've mined and been a part of in the past, and I'm just not quite sure what their future looks like. Then, of course, there are just a litany of fails. I have actually spent thousands of dollars of just wasted money and tens of thousands of dollars of potential missed opportunity by putting my mining rigs on these things and not putting on the stuff that actually paid out. But that's the name of the game and half the fun of this thing. A very funny fail of mine was called Reef Coin, and it was saving the coral reefs one block at a time. How could you not love that? Let's save some reefs, some fishes with our mining rigs. What could go wrong? Well, the founder of this kind of ran off and abandoned the project, and lots of money and time spent mining this thing and whatever, and it just was a big bust. But now I can look back and laugh that I once upon a time mined something called Reef Coin. Another one that I spent a lot of time mining because it looked really cool. Great logo and branding and all that stuff. An ASIC resistant, multi-layer, decentralized Subi platform. Well, they had master nodes, which I thought was pretty cool. And then they also built their own exchange where you could buy and sell their stuff on their own exchange. That should have been a red flag because a bunch of people started depositing Bitcoin on their exchange to buy Subi. And then all of a sudden one day the developers just disappeared with all the Bitcoin and some other ones. Arrow, Veriblock, Substratum, Plentium, Secret Coin, Recoin, Near Katai, I don't know how you pronounce that one, Creative Innovations, Phase, Crypto Rescue, Eden, then Reedon, Methuselah, RPWN, Marine Coin, Moon Coin. I can keep going. I got a bunch of dead wallets, coins that went to zero, coins that were just outright scams or rug pools or you name it. But would I do it all again? Yes, I would mine every single one of those again if it meant I still have the winners that I do today. And that is like my entire strategy, is just having a lot of just BS on the list, but eventually finding some that are truly legitimate and great. And on that topic, you might be asking me, well, how long after I mine this or invest in it, how long do I hold? And the answer is, it depends on you. Me personally, I'm not in this for the 2x or the 5x. I want the 100 to 1000x. I'm really going for the moonshots here because I think that just having a few of those makes all of it worth it. So my suggestion is that when you're mining these things and you're gathering your bags, make a spreadsheet, make a plan. Actually write out price levels, how many coins you'll sell at each price level, and then just stick to the plan. Make a plan, stick to the plan. That is my big advice for this whole thing. If you can do that and you have a few winners, you will make a lot of money. All right, and then one last thing here at the end. This is a bonus round. These are a few small cap coins I'm currently looking at that you might want to check out. Of course, again, I have to say it, Flux, still small, still a lot of potential upside. Love this project to death. Another super cool one that I actually just got the hardware for is Deeper Network. My Deeper Connect Mini is here. It's online. It's booted up. I'm staking DPR tokens on it. The DPN, the decentralized VPN, is up and running and works great. Hopefully it will start mining here in the next day or two, but I'm super optimistic about that project, and I love hardware projects again, and I think their hardware is super sweet. Another one I have talked about briefly here on the channel is Presearch. I am now running, I think, 10 Presearch nodes. It's a decentralized search engine. I think the project has a ton of potential. I also might get some more Pigeon Coin. This is a project I've been in for a little while, and they've got a messaging app, and they might do some nodes, and there's some privacy aspects to it, and so I think it's pretty cool, but it is ultra tiny. I also recently on my radar saw Ravencoin Lite, or now being rebranded to Avian, so I might throw a mining rig on that one. And on that topic, would you like to see more small projects I'm looking at? Well, let me know down in the comments if you want to see that video, and let me know if you're looking at anything in particular that you think has a lot of promise. Well, I hope that was helpful to you. If you want to see an example of how this kind of strategy plays out, then watch this video where I talk more about Flux, and watch this video if you want to see how I earn over $16,000 in a month with crypto passive income. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.